Breaking ball hammered. Winker to right. Staggered stride. Gone! A 3-home run game! And Winker puts the Reds back on top. Payoff pitch. Swing and a miss. And the Reds sweep the Cardinals in St. Louis. Their first 4-game broom cleaning at Busch Stadium in over 30 years, led by Jesse Winker.
What's up, guys? Welcome to a very fun special edition of Late Night Reds Talk here live on YouTube. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm so happy we made the switch over from locker room to this just because I get to see your faces and that makes it a lot more fun. So Tim Daniel here with the normal crew as always. Nicholas Kirby, how we doing, my man?
Oh, we are doing great. Celebrating a nice Reds win after a 4-game sweep. Things are looking up.
We are. And also joining us, Carlos, I actually have that sweatshirt somewhere in my house. I'm still cleaning through stuff. So, Mr. Carlos Guevara, how are you, man?
I'm doing well, man. Doing really good.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Joining us today, we have a very special guest to start the show with us. You know him as part of Red Leg Nation Radio, and Cincinnati Magazine. And Chad, if I am forgetting any, please feel free to correct me. I will not be insulted. Mr. Chad Dotson, welcome for your first time to Late Night Reds Talk. How you doing, man?
Oh, man, doing very well. That introduction was exactly as I wrote it. Thank you very much.
Good. I'm pretty good at that, I guess. That's like my one strength I got going for me. So we're going to hang out with Chad for a little bit before we get into kind of a lot of topics. So kind of pick his brain on things going on with the ball club. And let's obviously start with, after last night, I know there's a lot of damper in people's hearts with Sonny Gray getting hurt. But now if you look at the bigger picture, they've won 5 of the last 6 against the top 2, against the Cardinals and the Brewers. Nick is still, and myself are still very anti-believing in the Cubs because of the rotation. So we count these games more as excitement. But for them to make up this ground, they get Votto back. I know he hasn't got a hit just yet in his return, but he's getting walks. And he's had some pretty cool defensive plays last night. We saw Votto still has a little bit of a vertical. So, what right now with where this team's at, with where they're hitting, and we know about the bullpen woes, you being a guy who covers this team very closely, what are you taking away from this weekend with St. Louis and Milwaukee, and kind of moving forward with the schedule kind of not really lighting up a little bit till the Minnesota series?
Yeah, this the last week has been kind of a microcosm of what this team is. They're flawed, but man, they're fun sometimes. They've got a bunch of fun guys that are easy to root for, and they really have talent, but they're just not quite a complete team. That's what we're kind of seeing. But given the fact that they have kind of hung in there while Moustakas and Votto have been injured, obviously Lorenzen in the bullpen, and it's a situation where you can kind of squint a little bit and see, oh wow, now if they get these guys healthy, maybe we can make a run here in this division, because as we all said before the season started, this division is flawed. We knew it was not going to be great in the beginning. That was the best thing we had going for us in some ways, because the Reds have an incomplete roster. But hey, they keep pulling me back in. They're fun to watch, and I can't quit them, I guess. So it is what it is.
I know that feeling all too well.
Fun but flawed. I think we need to start the hashtag with that.
Right.
That's perfect.
Yeah, that is. And kind of, you mentioned already, so one of the big topics late last week was the news about Michael Lorenzen, and the idea of when he returns to the team, he is preparing to be pitching in the bullpen. And he kind of gave an interview with, I think, Mark Sheldon, where he talked about, he's like, I don't love it, but it's what the team needs, kind of paraphrasing, of course. And Carlos and I, at the beginning of the season, we talked about this, and we kind of felt all along, like, I felt like he should have been the bullpen regardless. So for you, it seems like with, obviously 3 starts, Vladimir Gutierrez looked like he could be a really good 5th starter for this team. And, I know it looks like it makes the most sense, but do you feel like that is still the ideal role for Michael Lorenzen?
Hard to say. Before the season, I wanted to see him in the rotation, just because I kind of default to that. If they can pitch in the rotation, let's let them pitch in the rotation. But with this team, the way that's currently constructed, I don't think it makes any sense to have him in the rotation right now. The bullpen desperately needs him, and not that he's an elite reliever necessarily, but you don't have to be an elite reliever to be one of the better relievers in this bullpen. He can genuinely help them. So yeah, I kind of get where he's coming from as well, but I don't see. I think it's 100%. He needs to be in the bullpen because the bullpen 100% needs him.
Yeah, and we also know what we're going to get with him. We've seen it. So, I mean, we know we're going to get probably 4 out of 5 really good outings from him. One of them is going to be rough on us, but I mean, at least that's something that we can count on, as we're watching at home.
Right.
And
It's
a
better
solid
than,
bat.
whatever random waiver wire pickup they're going to throw in there. Otherwise, he's kind of like Amir Garrett, crazy talent, generally pretty good, but sometimes you're going to have one of those outings that are going to, make you smack your forehead. But yeah, we need him. We need him bad.
Yeah, we're like, come on.
Right.
That is where we're at with this pen.
And Carlos, it'd be quicker for him to jump into the bullpen than in the rotation as well, right? So it's just kind of you jump in the fire a little bit quicker, I would assume, as a reliever than as a starter.
I mean, it's probably almost a full month to get ready to throw at least 4 to 5 innings.
Simply,
And the bullpen is like, are you healthy? Okay, here comes your 4 to 5 rehab innings, and then let's go.
Shout out John Thomas in the chat starting #fun but flawed. We have the original now after we talked about it.
Love it.
So, guys, let's talk a little quick about obviously tonight's starter, Vladimir Gutierrez. Again, we talked last week, just a dude that just pounding the strike zone, making plays happen for this team. And tonight goes 7 innings. Once again, just showing being fearless on the mound, making sure like you're going to have your better at bats against them. Again, what I think really jumped out to me more than anything is he had another first inning where he gives up a run and just settles down and calms down the rest of the game. Like, we've seen Luis Castillo have these 3-4 first run innings, and it seems like it's kind of thrown him off. Where, Vladimir Gutierrez has come in and 2 games in a row, he's given up a first inning run. It's been great. I was texting Nick earlier that he's had 7 less starts than Jeff Hoffman and only 24 less innings already. So seems like we might have something to look forward to and keep giving him shots at that 5th spot in the rotation.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gutierrez's ceiling is probably maybe a 4 ERA this year, but if he puts up a 4 ERA, I mean, I think you're living well with that as your 5th starter. So, I mean, where would Gutierrez be on the Cubs? Would he be their 2nd best starter, 3rd best starter? So I mean, you got to kind of put it, I think, in that perspective. And yeah, anything he gives you is just a huge bonus. I think there's definitely no scenario where Jeff Hoffman starts again unless it's a really, really dire situation.
Yes, Chad, you speak for all of us.
I almost forgot about Jeff Hoffman already. Thanks for bringing it up, guys.
About the pitching, the starting rotation, it's actually an interesting thing here, which is that, in some ways they have a decent looking rotation, even with the Sonny Gray injury and with Castillo hopefully coming back now, but he's not been great. But still, this rotation has held its own, and I'm excited to see what Tony Santillan can do. And we got a couple guys down in Double-A that I'm eager to see as soon as we can see them. But the starting rotation is not, even though we let the Cy Young winner walk in the offseason, it's still not in bad shape. That's not the problem with this team, even with the Cy Young winner walking and the presumptive ace, or at least one of the 2 aces, Luis Castillo, not pitching well so far. That's not been our Achilles heel, and that gives me a little bit more reason for optimism going forward, because there's some guys to slot in some of those rotations, and we've not had many years in the past where we've had guys to slot into some of those spots. The 5th starter in many years has been, you don't want to watch those games. So I don't know, if you're looking for reasons for optimism, I think that's one.
Cardinals rotation right now is Adam Wainwright, Juan Oviedo, John Gant, Carlos Martinez, and they don't even have a 5th starter listed at the moment. So put in perspective with that, it really, really looks good, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like, it's only 2 months in, but I feel like we all knew that we were going to be in this exact spot right now, with everybody in the division playing the way that they are. Nobody's jumping out, running away with anything. Nobody has a dominant rotation or a bullpen or even offense for that. But I feel like this is exactly what we expected. We're just given a weekly update now.
Yeah, Carlos is exactly right about the Reds as well. The weaknesses that the Reds have, are the weaknesses we expected. The bullpen, shortstop. Injuries have been a problem for everyone, but I think that's exactly correct. We're where we thought we'd be.
Yeah, because I think about like these, like, the losing seasons we've been having for a while now, and like the guys that you mentioned, Chad, like the guys were given like waiver wire pickups in the bullpen, like some of the waiver wire rotation guys. Like, do you remember Giovanni Gallardo had 3 starts for the Reds?
I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
Like Matt Harvey somewhat worked out. He had some good outings. He was, mediocre for the most part, but like Gallardo was like a 30.8 ERA, I think.
I think that the Brewers, I feel like at this point are like, I would put in the driver's seat just because of the Brewers just have like this weird team, like where they kind of assembled a team that like you despise the way they did it, like signing Jackie Bradley Jr. and they went all in on the defense and they just have pitchers. They have no offense, but I don't know, maybe that was just a smart strategy looking at this division, saying, oh, none of these teams are really that good. We're just going to outpitch everyone. Sam, I think tomorrow's a big game for the Reds, get within 2 of the loss columns. I think the Brewers are the one team you want to make sure you stay the closest to, I guess, just because I feel like they're going to be maybe the hardest team to get in a big losing streak, just because they're going to have the pitching night after night that'll, I don't know, help them avoid those losing streaks.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
I mean, that's what starts like. I mean, if anybody can choose what they'd have their strong suit, it'd be starting rotation. And I mean, we expected for us to be at the top of that, and I think we will once they get back healthy. All-Star break right after that, I think the Reds will take back over that, dominant starting rotation in the division.
The Brewers also did something else that was really, I didn't understand this move they made. They needed a shortstop, and they went out and got a shortstop. What? Explain that one to me. I don't get it.
Nobody told the Reds that they could trade before the All-Star break. That's what happened.
If it wasn't someone they were giving a chance that they could trade for, is what you're saying there. Yes.
So we actually got a question about trade deadline moves, which is always the fun thing. So maybe we'll kind of half answer that right now, if that's okay with you, Tim, just because
go for it.
Good segue. So I have a theory, and Chad, this is maybe a little too optimistic, I don't know, but a way the Reds could redeem themselves for the Adames, and I think actually come out looking good, it's not Trevor Story, I'm not going there, is Andrelton Simmons. Andrelton Simmons and Willy Adames are probably close to the same player. Would we kind of agree? I mean, and Andrelton Simmons would be a guy that you could literally acquire by probably just paying his salary for the rest of the year. Whereas Willy Adames was a guy you had to give a prospect. So if, and it's a very, very big if, the Reds went that route, they were in on Simmons in the offseason, I think, you could make a case that that's a better deal long-term for the Reds, because they wouldn't have to sacrifice any prospects. It would just be the dreaded money.
Well, number one, is Reds ownership going to pay money for players who have talent? That's a big question for me. Simmons was he was one of the lower options on the list for me in the offseason, because the bat, basically, it is what it is. He's incredible defensively. He's a serious upgrade on the current Reds team. So no, I'm not going to object at this point to having Andrelton Simmons in the lineup and playing shortstop. And frankly, the defense is so bad that he probably has more value here than he'll have in other places. But the Reds are going to have to prove to me that they're going to actually have some cash to go out and acquire someone, because I won't believe it until I see it. It's just, I know what happened in the offseason, and I know why it happened. And it's until the owner decides he's going to spend, I'm concerned that the Reds front office is not going to be able to improve this team at the break. But if they're allowed to, no, I'll take Simmons. Absolutely. No question about it.
Yeah, he kind of just is one of those players that, like, in the offseason, I don't really want him. And then you watch Suarez play and you watch Kyle Farmer play, and you're like, well, that bat's a lot better than Kyle Farmer. He grows.
It looks
on
good
you.
all of a sudden, right?
It's real good.
But yeah. Like Chad said, it's going to be like, oh, they really need a shortstop. And it'll be like, the Reds make a deal with the Pirates for Kevin Newman, and we're going to go.
Right.
Hey, Barry was talking about, his ABs tonight against Curtin pitch and said he couldn't hit, but he didn't say he couldn't play shortstop. I think we'll take the defense right now.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then maybe we can get some people in the stands too.
Yeah, that was weird last night. Like I understood the rain. So I went last night
Even
for the
tonight.
first game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went for the first last night for the first game that was max capacity allowed. And I was kind of expecting like a decent crowd. I understand, like I said, there was rain in the forecast, but it like definitely held off. And it was like, I think Charlie Goldsmith tweeted, it was like 11,880. And I was like, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, it was weird. I was heading back home and I sent you guys a message. I was kind of pumped up. Joey's coming back. I was like, oh, reopening day. Let's go. Let's get ready. And they turned on the broadcast. I'm like, what? Where's everybody at? Then Sonny got hurt. I'm like, I'm over this.
Yeah, I was in the beer line very quickly after Sonny got taken off the box.
Gotta
That was
get
pretty
the thunder
brutal.
ties going, activated. Get them back out.
Yeah, I saw you said that. So Chad, let me ask you this real quick, man, because I guess with this team, obviously we've seen some younger dudes really step up and play some bigger roles in this team. Jonathan India has been terrific the last few weeks, and we've seen Tyler Stevenson, who we've read about for years, really kind of be that guy. And obviously Castellanos and Winker, who are just incredibly tremendous baseball players. Who are some of the guys in a good, like, that really kind of surprised you the most this year? Obviously those four have been like huge names, but like, is there anyone else that's really kind of surprised you with what we've seen from them?
Well, I think Jonathan India is the first one that surprised me the most. Going into the season, I was not down on India, but I was kind of like, I need to see something, because he didn't impress me. I mean, he was fine, but he didn't impress me that much in the minor leagues before last year. And we got all these reports out of the camp last year that we couldn't watch, that he's a different guy. And then this spring, he was a different guy. And so I was kind of wait and see on him. Is he really what we're hearing? And I'm a believer at this point. He started out well and then he struggled, and then, because pitchers made adjustments, and then he made some adjustments, and now he's a kid who's having a typical rookie year, up and down. It's tough to be a hitter in the big leagues when you're first there. This game is really hard. And so I've seen enough out of him defensively as well as offensively that he has exceeded any of my expectations at this point. And I like moving him into, even when he was struggling, his on base percentage wasn't that bad. I like moving him into the leadoff position. If we're talking about biggest surprises, I don't know if that's really necessarily a surprise, but he's the one guy that's exceeded what I expect out of him. I thought he'd struggle a little bit more, and he may. It's a long season, but plus I just, every time I watch him, I'm like, oh, I wish I had that hair. It's glorious.
I think my wife would really appreciate me having that hair.
Yeah.
Because I put a tweet out the other day looking at, because I feel like, it feels like if you like read like Major League Baseball writers, it's like Dylan Carlson's already won National League Rookie of the Year. And I looked at like India, Dylan Carlson, and Jazz Chisholm, and their numbers are all eerily similar to each other. So like, I feel like it's like, maybe if you got a little more pub, he might have a shot, but it definitely feels like it's like Dylan Carlson plays for the Cardinals. Here's his National League Rookie of the Year award already.
Well, don't sleep on Tyler Stevenson. I think he could be there by the end of the year.
You're absolutely right. I know Nick is like, I know.
So the active leaders on the active players on the active roster, leaders in walk percentage on the Reds, Tyler Stevenson's number 1, Jonathan India's number 2. Stevenson's at 11.3, India's at 10.9. Obviously, Winker and Castellanos do things, a lot differently, but they're at 8 and 7. So, I mean, I've just been so impressed with both of those guys' plate discipline, and you hope that's a product of the Reds' development, that this is an intentional, plate discipline driven approach. Because man, those guys are just, if there's one thing to watch other than the Winker Castellanos show, it's those two. And they're just fun to watch, and definitely give a lot of hope for the future.
Yeah, somebody better tell them though, they don't get paid to walk.
Oh man, I heard that all night last night. Like Joey took that walk in the 8th inning, and these guys sitting next to me were like, "That's what he does best." I'm like, "Yeah, it's a good thing. Like, just go with it."
Somebody tell Jeff Hoffman he's not paid to walk either.
He's like, I don't understand what. He's like, I watch Little League, and it's like, what's the big deal there?
I don't want to. Whenever he comes back, I hope he's in the bullpen. I kind of want to see him in 1 inning spurts, go a little harder and spin that slider.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think he could help this bullpen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I'm eager to see it. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
So obviously the biggest name in the bullpen, and I'm curious your thoughts, Chad. What is your ideal circumstance for TJ Antone on a good baseball team?
Well, again, baseball's different than it used to be. I can see a scenario where you could pitch him 2 or 3 innings, 2 or 3 times a week, and that could be as valuable as a starter. The way he's being used, I don't know that it's as valuable as he would be as a starter. But I don't know how you move him out of the bullpen at this point, Frank, because he's the only thing keeping the bullpen together. He's the duct tape of the Reds bullpen. They're hanging on just because of him. So I don't know. I mean, I want him to pitch as many innings as possible. He's the real deal. TJ Antone is the real deal. And so whatever role he's in, I want him pitching as many innings as we can get out of him, because that guy, you talk about appointment viewing. That's a guy I want to watch every single time he pitches, because I don't understand how he does it. Maybe Carlos can explain it, because I don't understand how he does it. It's just, he's fun to watch. I love that guy.
He's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. The way he makes that ball spin, it's like Tatis was talking earlier on the Dan Patrick show today. He's like, I'm seeing pitches I've never seen before. Like they're just sliding and sinking and like rising all over the place. And so, I mean, he's got that spin rate crazy. I mean, I don't know the numbers. I just remember him compared to other relievers last year, seeing that, and it was just so high. Guess we'll see how it is over the next couple of weeks with everybody kind of going down on spin rate, but it's another can of worms.
I think with Antone, with his usage, I think it's kind of one of those things. Let's hold off on our final judgment on how the Reds use him until the end of the season. Because there may be an intentional plan to be saving him for the full year. So, you might see him used, 2-3 innings at a time, every 2 or 3 days as later on in the season. So I don't know. I kind of feel like, I don't know, maybe that's the thing to kind of wait and see the totality of the season before, saying.
Can I ask you a question about that, Nick? How are the Reds going to use him in the World Series?
Well, I hope the Andrew Miller 2016 plan, where literally every single night for 2 innings. I got to save some innings now,
The Joe Madden Aroldis Chapman, where it's like, we're only happy for half a year, so you're going to lose your arm on this team.
One of them's still pitching well.
Yeah.
The other one's on the Cardinals, so.
There you go.
You hate to see it.
You just hate to see it, right? So go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't. So no, Chad, did you need to take off? You want to?
I'm having a good time. I'll hang out for a little bit longer unless you're kicking me out of here, Nick. I mean, is that what's going on here?
We know your time is valuable, sir. We want to.
Right.
We want to max it. Yeah, keep going. We want to hit some questions here in the chat. We have a lot of questions. I am so thrilled with some of the
Chad Dotson comes and hangs out, and everyone wants to ask this question, so we like it. So Chad, please, you have an open invitation anytime.
I appreciate that, but yeah, don't give me any credit. Good grief.
So let's do some of these. We'll just kind of maybe do this a little bit more, I guess, rapid fire, just because there's so many, which is just fantastic. Your choice to get starts with Sonny out, Santillan. I mean, I think we probably all agree with that, right? Lodolo and Green can't be brought up, so I mean,
yes, they can. Yes, they can. Can they help the Reds? If so, bring them up. That's my opinion.
They can't be called up directly from Double-A to the major league. So I mean, I'm.
This guy was.
No, with the COVID rules, you can't go directly from Double-A to the major leagues right now.
Then they need to be in Triple-A tomorrow.
Really? Yeah, that's a new COVID rule.
Yeah, with the COVID rules, you so.
What about the Astros and the Rangers? Do they still have to go by that?
They are not an option to start on. Is it Sunday? Is that the next start? They are not an option for Sunday. So you guys say that that who do you say for Sunday, and then you say Hunter Green for next Friday? Is that
I didn't know that. You learned me something today, Nick.
every once in a while? All right. Next question: can Jeff Hoffman be effective out of the pen when he goes back? I'll start this one. I don't see it. I know a lot of people do. His walk rate's so bad. I don't know how that gets better in the bullpen. I think it's just going to be magnified.
I mean, effective as compared to what?
Right,
To what we have now?
Art
Ashton,
Warren.
Yeah.
Ashton Goody-Doo-Doo.
Who, when he took the mound last night, I went, who the hell is this guy? I had to literally bring him up on Baseball Reference to go, oh, that's who he is.
You know, I did a deep dive the other night because I just all these guys I've never heard of, and so I posted on Twitter. You know, all the teams that the Reds' current relievers have been released from or waived from, and I tweeted it, and then I walked out on my in the backyard and sat in a chair and just cried for a little while. It was sad.
The bourbon tasted a little better that night. I understand.
Yes.
All right. Why does Shogo not get a chance against lefties when Scott Heineman can't hit?
Is that a Lance McAllister question?
That's not from Lance. It's from Bob.
Don't
Lance is
let
my guy. I'm not
Shogo get
insulting
going.
him.
It's gonna steal the hearts of the city.
Yeah, I don't know.
So.
I kind of feel like I'm not the biggest Shogo believer, but I kind of feel like just Naquin can't hit lefties, so it's not. Shogo's obviously not a perfect platoon partner, but I kind of feel like why not just throw him out there, give him some starts. You're paying him, but I mean, I guess if they're not worried about that, I mean, I guess it's fine. I don't know. It's probably
I
good point. It's probably not much of a difference between the two.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, he's going to turn anything like crazy, spectacular, all-star level good. But I mean, he really hadn't had that great of an opportunity last year. He struggled early, and then at the end, he came on well, but 60 games and it was over. And then this year, he got hurt early, and I mean, he's put some good swings together. I like to see him play.
Yeah, and they also too, it's what do they do with these at bats for these bench outfielders? Naricitas Aquino's is back in what, a week and a half?
I think he is eligible the 13th if I remember correctly. So I would assume he's up as soon as he's eligible.
Yeah, for sure.
I wonder if they're gonna play him in center field as the platoon partner with Naquin. I mean, it would only be against lefties. The Reds never face a lefty. There's no lefties in the division, so it would be pretty rare. I don't know.
I think Sadek said in a broadcast tonight, this was only the 8th time they had a left-handed starting pitcher this whole season.
Yeah. Someone asked me the Reds' record against left-handed pitching, and I actually looked that up earlier today. I was like, they've really played 7 lefties all season? That's nuts. So they don't face lefties very often. So
the thing about Shogo is, what do we really know about him at this point? I mean, we got to presume that the Reds know more than we do.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should presume that or not, but he's really never gotten a chance. And I wonder if it's because the Reds know something we don't, or if there's some other reason. But I see his numbers in Japan, and you can't translate those to MLB numbers necessarily, but you can translate them. And the guy got on base, and we've seen him in the outfield. The guy can play. The guy can play defense. He's maybe lost a step from what he was, but I don't know. I want to see him play, and I wonder why he's not playing more. But again, he's never really shown us necessarily what somebody that's you have to have in the lineup. So yeah. I'm kind of confused about Shogo Akiyama. I want to see him.
I think the idea was to play him this year. I think he was supposed to get Tyler Naquin's playing time, but
it's a good point.
Nick Superhero is coming to the rescue, man. He's
got a 125 weighted runs.
Oh, he has those stats ready to go.
Oh yeah.
Dude.
Oh yeah.
That's his screensaver. You didn't even look those up.
506 slug. Oh.
I wish we could show people the late night Reds talk group text just so they can see all the things when Naquin does well that we send to Nick.
I get some real harassment. All right, let's keep rolling here. We got a lot. I want to make sure we get to as many as we can.
Sure.
This is just a comment. I have to read this. This is fun to put some faces with Twitter handles. I'm an optimistic Reds fan. So thanks, John. I love that comment.
Appreciate you.
Max, kind of a question we've kind of touched on. Will the Reds make a move to improve themselves at the deadline? I honestly don't know. I have no idea what the Reds will do. I don't even I feel like normally I have like some sort of pulse, like kind of last year, I think they might make some sort of move, and like they ended up with Bradley and Goodwin. I have no idea. I mean, I don't think it's maybe it's Bob's mood. I don't that day. I have no idea. I guess if someone wants me to guess, I think someone like Simmons is probably the ceiling. Simmons and some bullpen arms. I don't see them getting anything more than that. I don't know. You guys have any other thoughts?
Well, if you read like what Nick Krall said yesterday, it seemed like he didn't know either. Like he was in that interview he did with Bobby Nightingale where he's like, it basically sounded like he was saying like, well, if they give me money, I can go get a guy. But as Chad has echoed millions of times this year, it's if he gets the money to do it.
God, and it's so relievers, they're going to be out there. They're going to be ready to be dealt. They're so cheap. I mean, it'll take some money off the payroll for non-contenders. They're going to be out there to get for anybody who wants to improve their bullpen, and none better than the guys in Cincinnati right now.
Well, the Yankees are in fourth place. You think they'll move Chapman?
The return. That's right, though. If the Reds wanted to improve their team, they could do it relatively inexpensively for a professional sports franchise. The problem is, obviously, Bob Castellini, is he going to allow that? That Nick Krall interview that Tim just referenced, that to me was the print version of like a hostage video. It's like, this is what I have to say. The guys won't give me any money, so this is what I have to say, and I got to try to put a good spin on it. But it's all on whether Castellini will allow it. And I think what Nick said is, based on what I have learned, is that it could depend on how he feels that day. This is this is a real thing, and so he freaked out after the COVID year, and that's why we got the off season we got. So a case could be made that you can improve this team. Getting Simmons and getting a couple of relievers, it's pennies in terms of what a professional sports franchise is worth and what you can make out of it. I wish I could say I was optimistic. I can't be as optimistic as Nick in general, but certainly not on this point.
Well, I mean,
sidebar question. Why don't you ever see MLB owners at games? You see them at NFL and basketball, but you never see MLB owners, hardly ever, since Steinbrenner. Like, why don't they ever show their face?
True.
I think they probably.
If I were Bob Castellini, I wouldn't show my face at Great American Ballpark.
You don't want to get booed on the jumbotron.
Back of the line, Bob. Back of the line.
Back of the line, yes.
Yeah. One thing I'd add about that Krall story is I wouldn't read too much into those because the Reds, even Dick Williams, always was very, very tight-lipped about that kind of stuff. Like, I feel like right before the Puig trade, it was like, oh, we're probably not doing anything. We're probably not doing anything. And then bang. And even I think in before the big moves of 2020. I feel like they were kind of being very careful about that. So I don't know if I buy too much stock into that. It doesn't sound good, but they've always been very, very tight-lipped about that.
Well, it's true. You should never take what any general manager says at face value. They have ulterior motives that, but you can kind of read between the lines a little bit. I don't think Nick's wrong at all, but I also think you can read between the lines and given what we saw in the offseason and be concerned.
Yeah, guys, just be patient, because when Corey Seager's playing for the Reds in a couple weeks, because they had us all fooled, it's going to be great.
Dare to dream.
Hey, Chris Taylor. I'll take Chris Taylor.
Yeah, no kidding. Or heck, who's the other Rays guy that's ahead of Wander Franco right now after they traded Adames? And Wander Franco is going to be their shortstop, so just give us that guy.
So Jimbo Williams, he has 2 comments here that I see. The first one is hashtag viewer mail. So I think I know who that applies to. And the second one is, do you guys think any Reds pitchers will be affected by MLB's crackdown for using sticky substances? I am not going to specifically name any names of people I think that might be cracked down, because I don't think that's fair. And yeah, I'm not going there. Maybe I'm a coward. I'm just,
say it, Nick. Say it. It's Jeff Hoffman. It's Jeff Hoffman, right?
Yeah.
Senile Perez.
C&L.
Could you imagine if
that guy lives at the bus stop?
Guys were cracked down on.
I will. Yeah.
Bobby is pulled from the game.
I will say that because this is a topic I wanted us to kind of discuss tonight, kind of get your guys' thoughts. So hearing Garrett Cole yesterday when they asked him, and he was like, I have no idea how to answer that. And he's like, if Major League Baseball wants to legislate things, and like, I'm willing to discuss it. And, he's a big part of MLBPA, and I get that. But, like Chad mentioned earlier about like reading between the lines, that almost felt to me that it was kind of like, and I know it's a thing like everyone's like, well, everybody does, like cheating in college sports, everyone pays their players. We hear that all the time. And that kind of was almost my like, oh, okay, so that guy makes $330 million and he's not denying things. Like, maybe it's a lot of a bigger problem than we thought it was.
Oh, it's definitely out there. The different concoctions that they have now, I don't know. I'm not aware of it. I just hear rumblings of how sticky the balls are and stuff like that. Some of the players that I were around, had the tobacco and the honey on it and just rubbing their fingers with it before they even go into the game, just getting their hands sticky and black. And you can hear it whenever it's released off of a pitcher's hand. It's just like every time. And Garrett Cole, he admitted it without saying that he does it. We all know that he does it. Trevor Bauer, we all know that he does it. Trevor Bauer basically said, okay, well, y'all aren't going to do anything about it. I'm going to do it, and now I'm going to get paid. And I don't know what to think about it. Like, how do you say you can't use spider tack, but then you can use, rosin and, sunscreen? Like, where are you going to draw the line? They have to use something, because those balls are so slick. Even after they rub them up, it's hard to keep control, especially on the West Coast. From Arizona, Denver, out that way, it's a total different ball than you pitch with in Cincinnati or, in Florida. Like, it's a totally different baseball.
So Carlos, you think that it could result in even more wildness than we're seeing?
Because the seams are raised higher now. If it was the old baseball, yes. Okay. Because with the seams being harder, they have a little bit more grip. With the old baseball, the seams being lower, it's harder to control. Like, I had never used as much, because every level you go up. High school, the seams are up, which seem like a half an inch. In college, they go down a little bit. You get to pro ball, and it's a significant drop. And it's from rookie ball to like AA is a significant drop. Then you get from AA to the big leagues, and then there's still another drop. The seams just keep going lower and lower and lower and lower. So the purpose behind that at the pro level, I don't know. I just know that the lower the seams, the more the ball moves.
I think the weird thing about it is, like, the Twitter police too, who every pitcher now, it's like you like see a clip. So like the other day, there's that one of DeGrom where he's like rubbing in the middle of his jersey, and you see someone like tweets it. You see both Mets catchers come out, and they're like, if that guy was on something, he literally would have a perfect ERA. And I hope that's true, because he is incredible. But I don't 100% know if I buy that per se. Maybe that's me being spectacle.
I don't know how much I really care, to be honest. I don't know if I'm supposed to care. Like,
yeah.
There needs to be something done. There needs to be more offense in baseball in general. There needs to be somewhat more balls put in play. So I certainly recognize that, but I don't know. I don't know how much I really care. And I don't know if every time I turn on the MLB network, I need to hear a conversation about this. It's just like, it's going to be like the steroids, but it's not even as, I don't think, as obviously anywhere close to as severe, where it just becomes nauseating. So I don't know.
What's baseball without a scandal anymore, right?
Yeah,
You know,
they're
not
talking, I
bang-
guess it's good for business.
you're not banging trash cans. You got to be using something on your pitches now, right?
Yeah. Anyone else have any other thoughts on that?
I think if they ban, sticky substances or whatever, I'm going to be really upset if no red is affected, because they're not trying hard enough to win. If nobody else is being called on it, then we need to be doing it. Banging trash cans or whatever. I don't care. This is professional sports. Try to win.
We'll have like the Mitchell report where like that came out when like it was like all those guys that were like on there, and it'll be like everyone but like Reds and Pirates will have someone on the report, and we're like, what the hell?
Why are we trying to win? Welcome to the life of being a Reds fan.
Yeah, no kidding.
Wow. In all honesty, Chad is my favorite Reds personality of all time. Chad, how many burner accounts do you have here?
I literally just sent that in. Yes.
You click on the YouTube chat. Just a lot of Shogo talk. As I'm going to twist this question a little bit from John, because I really like it. As far as spending money, do you think it's best allocated on a shortstop or towards getting some slightly above average bullpen help? So we kind of talked about, the deadline a little bit, but I want to get your guys' thoughts in general about where the Reds should allocate money in the future. I think it's an easy hindsight to say, oh, the Reds should have signed a shortstop instead of Moustakas or whatever. But if you really go back and you look at like the free agent classes that year and the year before, there weren't any shortstops other than Didi Gregorius. So it's kind of a weird situation. But yeah, I definitely think the Reds, they got to be, if the Reds are spending money on anyone, they need to have a shortstop first, because I don't know, maybe it's just this year that's just made it's so pronounced. That's the premier position that you can't just, throw someone there and figure it out. So I don't know, honestly, before we're even looking at extensions for some of the players we love, I think they got to figure out a shortstop, or at least be really confident in Jose, Carlos, say it. I'm going to butcher it. Barrios.
Oh,
Barrio.
Barrio. Is it Barrio? What is it?
I think it's
Barrio?
Barrio.
Yeah,
And
I
everyone
don't know what it is. I haven't seen it enough yet to remember it.
I don't know. What's your guys' thoughts on where the Reds should allocate any money? Chad probably doesn't know, like, what money are you talking about, Nick?
Is there money? Is there money available other than what Castellini's going to pocket when he sells the team for $1 billion plus?
Yeah.
No, shortstop is shortstop's the. Can you imagine an NFL franchise not signing a cornerback, or an NBA team not signing a point guard, or an NHL team not going into the season with a goalie or whatever? The Cincinnati Reds are a professional sports franchise, and they made the decision to go into the season without anybody to play one of their starting positions. It's like the most unbelievable thing that I've seen in my life as a Reds fan. And we've seen some things, right? So yeah, shortstop is it. We got to get some kind, Kyle Farmer. I love the guy, but we need a shortstop.
And he is the best option on this current team. Like, I know, like, I complain about Kyle Farmer, and I have no problem with David Bell playing him at shortstop, because you can't play Suarez at shortstop. And it's not like there's another big bat just sitting on the Reds bench that could play an infield position. So yeah, I definitely think Kyle Farmer is the best option right now, but that's the problem, is that Kyle Farmer is the best option, right?
Chad, do you feel that way for the rest of this year as well? Would you take a shortstop over, say, 2 relievers, like above average relievers? Or is that just after this year for 2022 and beyond?
That's a good way to frame the question. If you can get me 2 above average relievers, I might be convinced that that's more important to this particular Reds team, because the offense has some, some other bats, and
Yeah,
know,
'cause
the
they've
defense
got
is
a
going
bat
to be
at
bad.
catcher. They've got bats at catcher. So it's usually, catcher and shortstop are the bats that you're willing to give up if they're defensive. If they're really good defensively. And they've got really good defensive catchers, and they've got catchers that can hit. So I would say give me two relievers and let Kyle Farmer, lead us to the promised land.
Kyle Farmer has started a playoff game at shortstop.
Yes.
What more do we need?
Have you started?
No, I think that's a good point. I think it's a really good point. If we're talking about this particular team, if those are our two options, two good relievers versus a actual Major League Baseball shortstop, you could actually make the case that two relievers are more important. But I think the Reds should get all three: two good relievers and a
You're talking
shortstop.
crazy.
It's crazy, I know.
Crazy talk.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on that?
I don't think so. I think I'm kind of in agreement with you, Nick.
Really good conversation here. I love about the Reds' current uniforms being trash. I tend to agree. I'm maybe not trash. I'm sick of them. They're so boring. Like, and someone mentioned the throwbacks. They just had so many awesome throwbacks. They've got to do something. They got to mix it up. They should have 4, 5, 6 uniforms. I guess that probably costs money. I don't know. But yeah, I agree. I think the Reds are way behind on the uniforms. They got to have some more creativity there.
Chad, was it you? I think it might have been you. Were you the one that pitched that they should bring back the 61 uniforms full time? Because if it's you, I totally agree.
I've said it, I think, in the past. I actually don't hate the uniforms the Reds have now, other than the black drop shadow, which is awful. But there's so many great uniforms in the past for this organization. I don't know why they don't do like other organizations that have been around forever and lean into some of that. Yeah, let's go. I think the home uniform from the 60s that you're referencing, plus the like 1995, I think, road uniform. It was the gray with the red pinstripes. Those two uniforms, let's do that and go with it forever. It's a nod to the past, and this organization has a great history that they should be, that's all they want to do is celebrate the history because they have no present. But I'm all in on something like that. I don't hate the current uniforms, but I would make a change if I were in charge, and I will never be in charge.
Road 95, my favorite uniform of all time. Love.
I had a Deion Sanders Road 95.
They're just so cool.
They were the best.
It's just a lot to do with the players that wore it, and man, it's just great uniforms. Love it. All right. I got a wild question here. User wants to know, Carlos, did you use any sticky substance?
Oh yeah. I mean, nothing as crazy as they had, but if I would have had access to it, or if I would have knew about it, they would have made my spin rate better. I sure as heck would have. Because everybody's using something. I would say 98% of the teammates that I had that were pitchers used something that wasn't other than just rosin. You're not supposed to be able to mix suntan lotion and rosin either, but that's the first thing that I used in the minor leagues, just because the ball was so slick. Like in college, I didn't use anything, but I went from Bullfrog with a bunch of rosin on there, then to rubbing pine tar on there. My skin's a little darker, so you couldn't notice it. And then when I got up to the big leagues, I started, rolling tobacco in my hands, like around the 3rd or 4th inning, just getting that on there, getting it nice and tacky, because even if you put water on it or sweat, that tackiness is not going to come off. I mean, to me, it was more just about having a good, firm grip on the ball, like that I was used to having here in South Texas, pitching all the way up until I was 21. Like it was nice and hot and humid, and I could grip the ball and do what I wanted to do with it. So that was the whole point of doing it for me. Whenever I got to the higher levels and started pitching out west, because I had to do it. It was the only way I was going to control my stuff.
Rob Manfred's going to show up at your house tomorrow morning.
Bring it, Rob. We have
when he's not
things
busy.
to discuss.
When he's not busy drawing squares in the field, like your shortstop can only go in these spots. He'll show up at Carlos's house. So, Chad, I don't know if you we talked about this on an episode a few weeks back. So Carlos, when he was in the Reds organization, have you ever looked up his Double-A Chattanooga team from '06?
I have not. I have not.
So they were loaded. They had about 13 major leaguers on the team. And if I gave you one guess who led that team in stolen bases, you said off the top of your head, if you had to guess one guy you could have thought of in the Reds organization in that time frame.
Ryan Hannigan.
Close as far as foot speed. It was Joey.
Really?
Joey had 24 bags that year.
Joey Votto stole 24 bases?
That's what I said, and I was his freaking roommate.
You were there.
What? And then I texted him right after we finished, and I was like, "You led the team in stolen bags in '06?" He's like, "Yep, 23." He knew like that. I was like, "Holy cow!" I couldn't believe it.
I went to a Chattanooga game. I can't remember what year it was, but it would have been right around there. Was Hannigan on that team when you were there? I might have been there. I went to watch Chattanooga at one point. I don't think Votto was there.
And Cueto. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah.
Bailey.
Really, huh?
Bailey.
Yeah. Homer was there.
Logan
Cueto.
Andrusic was on that team.
Cueto was there. I mean, it was
United States Olympic hero Homer Bailey.
Yeah.
Make sure we verify. All right, I got two. I'm gonna do two more in the chat, and then I'm gonna close that for tonight, just because there's so much, which is awesome. Thanks so much, guys, for in the chat. And then Tim, I'll let you get. If there was a couple on Twitter that you wanted to get, I'll let you get those.
Sure.
So two more real quick. Pretty good one on Tucker Barnhart about his option. I believe it's $7.5 million for next season. Do you think that's a good option, or do you think that's something the Reds should save money on? I mean, I think if you can keep Tucker Barnhart, sure, but I mean, I think he has to be low down on the totem pole. If that's taking away from, getting a competent bullpen or whatever else. I mean, I think Tyler Stevenson, by the time we get in next year, needs to be catching the bulk of the time. So I would say probably not. My guess is they maybe try to work out some sort of they decline the option and then do some sort of counter offer or something like that. You guys have any thoughts on if the Reds should pick up Tucker Barnhart's option?
It just depends if they're allowed to spend money. I mean, I think it's a great value, but
I think he's going to have a lot of
what
demand.
their budget is.
I think with how good he is behind the plate, and we've seen him hit really well this year. And I don't know what the catcher free agency market necessarily looks like for the 21 off season, but I feel like if it's like limited, like we've seen years past, like I feel like teams are really going to want him. Am I wrong? Am I crazy?
The catcher market is so bizarre. Like James McCann got $40 million. But there's been some other guys like Mike Zunino that only got $3 million, and there's been several other guys that are close to, or that are on major league rosters, I think Kirk Sally was $2 million. So it's such a weird market. I'm guessing they probably use a lot of internal stats that we don't have any access to. But yeah, I don't know. It's so weird to know what a catcher's worth. I have no idea outside of I know JT Realmuto is worth a lot. That's
Buster Posey. Yeah.
My feeling for quite a while now has been that Tucker Barnhart would be the perfect backup catcher for the back end of his career, because great defensively. And now we're seeing that since he stopped switch hitting, he's actually hitting a little bit. And so maybe that changes the calculus. I didn't see that coming, obviously. If I were the Reds, I would try to renegotiate. Let's extend the deal. Let's not talk about picking up the option. Let's extend it. And with the idea that you're going to be the backup catcher behind our all-star catcher, Tyler Stevenson, and you'll play 40% of the games and still Gold Glove ability, and can be maybe not a lifetime Red, but I think he can provide real value as a backup catcher here. Now, he may want to try to be a starting catcher somewhere, and given the fact that he's hitting better in the last year and a half, then maybe he'll want to do that. But I would love to see him long-term as the kind of the part of the tandem with Tyler Stevenson.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I think that'll help Tyler Stevens' longevity as well. Like he won't have to catch as many games. He's a big human, so he's going to wear down more a little faster than most catchers will probably. And Joey's going to have another couple of years, and he's going to be able to spell him at first, Tyler Stevens. So I think it's a great value. And I don't know Tucker. I've met him once or twice, but I just get the sense, from his social media, the way he talks, that he might even give us some sort of a hometown discount.
I mean, plus he's from Indianapolis, so it's not like staying here is probably ideal for him being closer to home. So,
yeah, Tucker came on our podcast 2 or 3 times in the past. It's been a while, but
Humble brag.
I think he really. My sense is, and I can't say that I know him, but my sense is that he cares. He likes being the kind of a hometown guy. It's important to him. Now, but when we're talking about big time dollars, that stuff that. Is in the wind, but I would explore it if I were the Reds. I think it makes a lot of sense from every angle.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree. So I did get a quick Twitter question, and I do want to get to our All-Star ballots because I'm really excited to kind of talk with that about you guys. Jeff Amlung asked, when Nick Senzel comes back, do you try India or Senzel at shortstop? And where do they play Mike Moustakas when he comes back? Carlos is adamant on this no.
Well, first off, everyone's got to be healthy at once, which I'll believe that when I see it at this point. I think there's going to be injuries all year with a lot of these players, just with their history and the 60-game season. So, I mean, I think a lot of our worries will solve themselves out, but like they are now. Like Suarez playing shortstop in India, it's not even an issue right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that India's played like 9 minor league games at shortstop, something like that. And I think he did a little bit of Florida, but I'm not comfortable.
Everyone, I think, just gravitates towards that. And I understand it. I mean, he has that look like he could play shortstop, but as cheap as the Reds are,
yeah.
If they thought he could play shortstop, I feel like he'd be playing shortstop. Am I crazy on that?
I don't see why people keep asking this question. People thought that, why not slide Suarez over there at shortstop? I mean, he's a good defender. It doesn't work that way. It's hard to play first base. Everybody thinks it's hard to play, or it's easy to play first base. Look how bad, Stevenson looked on some short hops. Like, it's tough to learn a new position. And then to learn it at the highest level possible, you don't just, practice for a week, take a couple of fungos, and you're good to go. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I don't want India taking away anything from his development.
He's fine. Leave him alone. Yeah.
I mean, and you're risking messing him up, or I mean, not messing him, but stumbling his development a little bit. So yeah, I don't. Yeah. That's a short-term fix that I don't see having any long-term lasting benefits, because if the Reds thought he was a long-term shortstop option, he'd be playing shortstop.
Yeah. If it's not broke, don't fix it. He's been really good at second base. Keep him there. So let me check one more time, because I know, like I said, we got overblown with text today. All right. I think we finally caught up on questions, which is phenomenal, because that's not something I ever expected to see here. I do want to get your guys' thoughts real quick on this thing that Nick and I got today, where someone said, question for the show tonight. They said, Vladimir Gutierrez has the presence and body type of a young Aroldis Chapman.
I mean, he's scary. I mean, he looks intimidating on the mound.
Yeah.
Throws about 7 miles an hour slower on a bad day for Chapman. So yeah, I mean, he looks like an intimidating.
How tall is Gutierrez?
Yeah, I don't have that in front of me.
You're like 6'2", 6'3", maybe.
6'0", 6'0".
6 even, yeah.
And that's probably generous. No one's 6 foot on Baseball Reference is actually 6 foot.
Like we said, like with NBA players, it's like, they're like Donovan Mitchell at one point was 6'3", and you're like, look at the thing there, you're like, oh, he's 6'1". How'd that happen? Chad, you still keep it up with the Sixers? You feel good about them right now?
Joel Embiid's hurt. I don't know. It's questionable, but I don't know. I laid some money down on them winning the Eastern Conference, so we'll see if months ago. So we'll see if I'm right. But they gotta get Embiid back.
Yeah, I agree. So one of the last topics I want to get in before we get out of here. And Chad, if you want to hang for this and if you have thoughts on it, by all means, maybe we'd love to get it.
I'm committed at this point.
I figured. So
We haven't even had our first intermission yet.
I know. So me being me and just for some reason loving the All-Star game, even though it's what it is, I made the guys, I'll go ahead and take responsibility for this. I made the guys fill out their ballots of choice. And I realized when we did this that the three of us have three complete different theories of how we vote. And honestly, I kind of like the idea of it. So we don't have to go through our whole ballots by any means, but I kind of want to point some out to some of the names that really kind of jumped up. So for me, National League first base, I put Rhys Hoskins at first base, and I really liked it because I thought he's had a really good year so far for the Phillies. And then Nick was like, well, I put Freddie Freeman because he adds up. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nick. You said you add up the second half of the year before and then the current up to the All-Star break.
So I think I got really ticked off a long time ago that Joey Votto had a rough 3 weeks, and then the All-Star ballots are already out, and no one votes for him because he had 3 bad weeks. So I don't like the idea of picking my players based on 2 months of the season. So what I do in a normal year is I go to Fangraphs, I put in the first date of the second half of the previous year, and then I add that to the current year, and that's what I vote on is the statistics from that. So for this year, I did it all the way back to the end of after the All-Star break of 2019, just because there wasn't a game last year, and so it kind of adds up. So there's one play I'm not doing it. I'm not saying it. I'm not getting.
That's why I didn't say fill out your whole ballots.
There's one player that got left off that I would get crucified for saying, but
we need ratings. We're here for the ratings, Nick. If they don't love you, they have to hate you. Come on, Nick.
But yeah, I don't know. I think there's some guys like a Mark Ahana, Marcus Semien, who should be a red, that should definitely be on there, kind of from their stats all together throughout the year. I feel like a guy who doesn't get any love that really should is Trey Turner. If you look at his stats for the last 3 years, he's just an incredible player. So yeah, I go a little bit different.
But he plays the same position as Fernando Tatis, so obviously the popular vote's going to go. And that's fair. I think that's rational. For me, I put Cedric Mullins in for the American League outfield. Do I think he's going to get there? Probably not, just because there's so many American League outfielders like Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge of those guys. But I think he's had he's been pretty terrific for the Orioles, for the one guy on the team who has been really. Well, him and Trey Mancini.
I have Trey Mancini on mine. I guess he crushed it at the end of 2019. He didn't play in 2020. I definitely didn't feel like I could hold that against him, but his overall numbers, I mean, they're by far the best of any first baseman. I thought so. Yeah,
well,
I had
also
him.
To quote the great Charles Barkley, who he played for. Trey Mancini, I don't even know who he plays for.
He's the Orioles first baseman, but last year I think he was doing chemotherapy last year.
Yeah,
That's why he didn't play.
Okay.
I really hope he gets on the All-Star team. Just what an awesome story that would be.
Yeah. The painful one for me was Buster Posey, but I was like, National League catcher, no one's really close to him this year. Chad.
See, if you went my strategy, you wouldn't have to vote for him. I got Real Muto, and it's not even close if you look at the totality vote. And that's Buster Posey is the exact reason I do it my way of doing it, because I don't think Buster Posey is the best catcher in the National League right now. I think he's had 2 really, really good months. He's a really good catcher, but I think Real Muto is so much better. Well,
I have the same philosophy about this as I had when I was 7 years old, sitting at Riverfront Stadium, and they passed I missed that. The things down. We had to push out the little, the circle, in which my votes go to every Cincinnati Red that's eligible in the National League. And the American League, I only vote for the positions where there are former Cincinnati Reds. So that's my theory, and it continues to be my theory. And it's the way I'm always going to do it. So Sorry, Trey Mancini and Buster Posey, but you didn't play for the Reds.
Your loss.
I like it. Love it.
Yeah, I'm sure like Carlos had Joey Votto there, and I know that's part of because it's team
Okay.
bestie. So I like it.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to see the stars. I want to see the names. I'm not going to be mad if Miguel Cabrera is starting or Albert Pujols is starting. Like the guys that deserve it, okay, will come off the bench. Like, like Jesse Winker. Like he's having a super awesome year. I would not be mad if he wasn't out there because of, say whoever superstars out there, like Mookie Betts, even if he's not having that great of a year. I would not be mad at it. He's a star. He's a superstar. He's done it for more than 1 year. You kind of got to earn your starting gig, in my opinion. And I'm not mad at that. I like to see the star power. I think that helps with, getting more viewers. You got everybody that people know. Okay, look who's starting the All-Star game. It's not like, oh, well, who's this guy? Who's Trey Mancini? Who Albert Pujols is.
I completely agree with that. I don't care how bad Mookie Betts has been for the last 2 months. He needs to be in the All-Star game. I want to see guys like that. I want to see the stars. I completely agree with that. But I want more Reds. We don't have that many stars, so I want all of our above-average players, and the rest can be just stars.
I think one of the things we talked about in our group text the other day, and curious your thoughts on this, Checks. I understand why they don't have you vote for pitchers just because there's so many. But don't you think we should at least get to like write in like the starters, like at least, so we can get something on that side of it?
Yeah, I've never understood why they don't at least let the fans have some vote as to the stars. I think about a guy like Johnny Cueto, who was he made like one All-Star team, and that's a guy that should have been in the All-Star game 5 times. Now, if he can't pitch, okay, well you bring another guy in who's because he pitched because Cueto pitched 2 days before the All-Star game or whatever. Okay, bring some other guy, but he deserves that honor, and I think the fans should be able to vote on at least some pitchers, at least just to give them the honor of being an All-Star. That's a big deal. And I feel like some pitchers kind of get screwed because they, because the way things play out throughout the season in terms of when they're eligible and when they're not eligible to pitch. And how many times has Clayton Kershaw's probably been there a bunch of times, but probably not as many as he deserved. I mean, I think about all these guys that if they're a position player, they get that honor, and it goes on their baseball reference page, and it goes in their case for making the Hall of Fame later. And it's a little unfair to pitchers. Yeah,
because like you said, like Cueto started the All-Star game he made, which is kind of wild when he was in San Francisco. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Because like this year, I understand it's probably going to be Jacob deGrom and Shane Bieber that started, quote unquote, just because I think they've been the 2 best in their leagues respectively. But then again, no,
not Jeff Hoffman.
Jeff Hoffman should for sure make it. Carlos said he wants superstars.
Holding him back.
One pet peeve I do have is that everyone thinks Winker just like started hitting this year.
Right.
Using my theory, the highest weighted runs created plus in baseball since then among outfielders is Mike Trout, Jesse Winker, like in baseball. So Jesse Winker is by far the best in the National League. Ahead of Soto, Betts, way ahead of Betts.
You sounded like the Doc from Back to the Future. Using my theory.
Using my theory.
The Kirby theory.
Kirby theory. So I mean, Jesse Winker. This isn't. I don't know. I guess I find it weird that people didn't understand that he was really really good like before this year. I don't know. My pet peeve.
Well, like the Buster Only thing the other day when he's like, "Who's your National League MVP?" and he doesn't have Winker or Castellanos listed.
I mean, most people still don't know Joey, so no, you're not surprised. You're not really surprised.
Yeah, that's
elite troll job. Hey, he got clicks. Good for him.
Well, dudes, I think unless there's anything else you want to touch on, I think we can wrap this up. I know we went a little long tonight, but it was a lot of fun. Our chat was incredible. We got so many questions. Chad, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Really appreciate it. And, before we let you out of here, I know most Reds fans already know who you are, but those who don't, where can they find you on social media, your podcast, your writing? By all means, man, take a moment.
Do not go to find me. It's not worth your time. Thank you so much, guys, for letting me join you for a little while. And I hope to do it again sometime. This was fun.
Open invitation, my man.
Anytime.
Thank you.
We're going to wrap up this week's edition of Late Night Reds Talk. Thank you all for tuning in as always. I know we have we're looking forward to stacking some wins against the Rockies this weekend. Fingers crossed. So everyone have a good night, and we can't wait to be back next week.